many combinations can there be? Yeah.
Everybody, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Woodstock Planning Board for December 19th, 2024. And we do have a quorum. Full board. We have the minutes from December 5th. There it is. Under communications and announcements, we have a letter from A. Glad regarding the Zenith Development LLC. And we have email and attachments from N. Sadowitz regarding the 1105 Route 28, which we received December 18th. So, new business under scheduled business. Tonight we have the 1105 Route 28 LLC, SPR 18-0367, and SUP number 1B-0472. It's a review of site visit for site plan review and special use permit applications to modify existing developed site and reestablish use as a gas station, renovate and enlarge store, and install fuel supply system in the NC zoning district, located at 1105 Route 28 in Zenith. And we have reps Mark and from Cuddy and Fetter, we have reps from Medenbach and Edges. So if you folks want to come up with.
Feel free to grab more chairs. I try to just do it. What's the thing?
Is there a copy of the email from Scott on this case?
Okay, everybody, I'd like to remind everybody here, this is not a public hearing. This is the site plan visit that we had. And we won't have a public hearing until we have a complete application and approval of the site plan. So we did do a site visit last Saturday. And we're here to go over that. We also have our traffic consultant, Stephen, over here, who is going to give us some suggestions and information. But first, from my point, I'd like to say at the site visit, it was staked out. I think it's a general consensus. It's a pretty small site for everything that's going on there, but that's not our issue or concern at the moment. The only thing that we would say that there would be a condition on the approval that all construction equipment and construction vehicles during construction would have to remain on site and not parked on the shoulders of either Route 28 or Basin Road. So our basic position is that the entrance off of Route 28 into the proposed gas station is too close to the light and therefore dangerous. So I'm going to ask members of the board, and I can start here and go down the line, what their opinion of the site is. What, John, you can start?
Well, I'm just going over the Sadowitz extensive email he sent regarding this project. I have a lot of concerns. main concern is certainly traffic. It's a corner we're very, very familiar with. And, one in which we have all seen multiple accidents over the years. I don't know, James.
I thought a couple things. I thought I was surprised of the location of the building. It was much more set back on the property than you kind of think, because there's the old structure there that kind of tricks you into thinking that's where the building's going to go. So I think in terms of attractiveness, that actually, you know, is a positive for the site. The signage being sort of low and on a bluestone type of base, you know, things like that are good. Like we all share concerns about is, of course, the coming and going of people in and out of the site. I'm glad there's a traffic person here, because I'd like to hear from him a lot, and also I'd like to know anything more about what are rules about, say, like on Basin Road, when it hits 28, can there be something like a sign saying no right turn on red? That might help. I think the biggest concern is people coming from Xena onto 28 and turning left. I know it's turning into a 2-lane, and that should be okay, but as we all know, it can be hairy with a car coming out of that gas station, and then proposed gas station, and then somebody turning left on 28 and then coming along like that. Or God forbid they were turning left onto 28 to go into that gas station, and then they like shot into the right lane. I've had some weird moments myself pre this gas station, just turning left onto 28 there, where the car coming at me, like I jinx that they come straight at me, and that they are not all just turning left too, coming at me. It's weird. I don't know why that intersection has such an odd, like, you know, just an odd intersection. I don't know why. Maybe because Basin Road is just kind of, you can't see far beyond it, so you don't really think it's that much maybe of a road. Those are my main things. But, I did think the building plan itself seemed more like something that would work.
I think that the building plan and what I saw there would be an amazing improvement to what we see there now. And the landscaping design and everything else was quite well thought out and beautiful. As somebody who lives in that area, I would agree with these gentlemen about my concern about the traffic pattern for 2 reasons. When you come, yes, of course, coming up and going on that side, I'm concerned, and we discussed when we were at the site visit, possibly having a second turning lane or increasing the dimensions of that shoulder lane when you turn in and come out. But that coming off of Xena Road, I take that road every morning. Everyone turns into that big right lane. No one cuts that lane and goes into the lane they're supposed to. That would be a whole lot of behavior modification. And forget about if there's traffic and people are going into Stewart's. That's a really busy intersection that would require some real on-ground signage and maybe some traffic lights with new arrows going here and going there. That's now. Forget about when the whole thing, apparently that's going to start becoming a gateway for the Catskills. So that concerns me as somebody who's a member of the community. But the other thing that concerns me is last year, or the year before, in the ice storm coming down towards Stewart from the top of that, where there used to be a mobile station, when that road is icy and you don't see what's in front of you, and you're coming down that road with any kind of speed, and you don't know when somebody decides they're going to turn into that gas station, or you don't know that that gas station's there, and you need to slow down for some reason, whether you're in the right or the wrong. if there was some kind of a, and I'm not saying that's the reason, but if there could be some kind of a signage letting people know that there is something now on the other side of the road that might be an obstacle, that somebody might be turning into it or coming out of it. Like, hey, there's something there now, you know, Stewart's is here, everyone knows Stewart's is there, you see Stewart's sign, it's big, it's glaring, it's not this beautiful blue stone sign that you have that says Sitco, okay, Stewart's is very well signed, yours is kind of hidden away, so that the people coming from the other direction know that there's something there, because that's a big traffic area, and somebody's gonna crash into somebody, or somebody's gonna hit one of those oil trucks. And if this is project is gonna go through, the danger to the neighborhood isn't gonna be a little one, it's gonna be a big one. Because it's already a dangerous corner, it's one of the more dangerous corners on 28. Okay. That's all I have to say.
Well, I wasn't either, but I drive that corner almost every day too. One of the things I want to point out that makes this different from your normal four corners is the angle. And as has been observed, people do not go into the left lane, even though theoretically they're supposed to. And I don't think signage is a solution, because people don't read signs. And if they are in a situation of traffic congestion, they're less likely to read signs, not more. I have almost gotten killed on that corner because somebody ran that light coming down that hill. And it wasn't icy, it was nice, clear weather, and someone ran that light, and luckily I saw him coming and didn't pull out. I was coming off of Xena Road, that's right, and headed into Kingston. And like everybody else, I am trying to train myself to go into the left lane. But it takes training myself. This is not a corner where that is a natural thing to do. It's a tight curve. I also noticed that we still have the problem of the driveways being closer to the corner. And I understand, I've raised this in a previous meeting. There's some more land here. But that's your backup for septic. I understand that, but the result is that's the primary. I'm opposed to that. I think you need every inch of space from the intersection that you can get, and you don't have everything you can get. And yeah, it's a redesign to do it any other way, but I don't think this is, let's say, I don't think it's as safe as it can be made. Whether that solves all the problems, I'm not sure.
You,
I wasn't in attendance.
well, you pass it all the day. I mean,
Yeah,
how's your feeling
Yeah.
about that
I
intersection?
think these are all really excellent points. I would agree with all the points made that, you know, a lot of concern here.
Okay, before I turn it over to Stephen, I just want to point out that, as you can see, the general consensus is that the planning board, for reasons of health, safety, and welfare, feel that entering off of 28, that close to the light, into that gas station is dangerous. And we're going to find an alternative. And Stephen has some ideas. Obviously, coming in on Basin Road is one of them, and only exiting out on 28 is one of them. But Stephen, why don't you address the board? And
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Stephen Maffia, PD. We're here tonight to discuss the issues that we're all talking about, that we're all concerned about regarding access to the gas station site from Route 28 in particular. After the site visit on the 7th of this month, I went back to my office and did some real research and reconsideration of the plan. And it determined that a better Route 28 access should be one that allows only right turn exits from the site. What's currently there now is a plan that has right turns in and right turns out. And what I'm saying is, and what I'm recommending is that the right turn in be eliminated, that it's just a lane, a single lane leading out of the site to go towards Kingston on Route 28. I'm making this recommendation for a couple of reasons, well, 5 actually. As we all know, although the posted speed limit on Route 28 is 45 miles per hour, we all know that there's speeding going on, in particular. It states information, their data indicates that that speeds are over 50 miles per hour, the 85th percentile speeds. And that was supported by the applicant's own studies of speeds on Route 28 that indicated that speeds that they measured were between 52 and 53 miles per hour at a location a few hundred feet west of Sigma. Combined with those speeds, the fact that the Route 28 driveway is only about 100 feet from the intersection, that could increase the risk of crashes between the light and the driveways as vehicles on Route 28 slow down to make the turn into the site. Of course, that would go away, that issue would go away if we eliminate the right turns off of Route 28 into the site. It also adds movements and turns that are different from the through movement characteristic. You know that there are going to be turns at the intersection because there's a traffic light there, and there's going to be turns onto Basin Road and onto Xena. Now, just about 100 feet away from that is another location where additional turns are taking place. And that kind of situation could exacerbate an already higher than the average accident history, according to the state's database. That location has a fairly high average when compared to other roadways in the rest of the state. And I'll give you the numbers. It's 0.66 accidents per million vehicles entering the intersection. On a statewide basis, at this location, it's 0.93. It's significant, even though the numbers look small, it's significantly higher than the statewide average. We certainly don't want to do something that brings the potential for that to get even worse. Again, as you all know, the topography of the area, as Basin Road would indicate, that's a low point between two sides of the Xena Road, Basin Road intersection, where it's coming down into that area, and the elevations are lower, so it's all downhill from both directions. And in that instance, situation, both approaches on Route 28 see speeds increase as you're going down the hill, and the situation, probably one of the more frequent accidents is rear end accidents, as people are trying to decide in this what we call a dilemma zone. When the light turns yellow, do we speed up to go through there? I'm already speeding up because I'm going down a hill. I should go faster. And then the next thing you know, somebody right in front of you slowing down to turn into the gas station. Again, that's another situation that exists out there, but we don't want to make it worse by adding another active driveway where that turn has a ripple effect back towards the intersection. There are also at the intersection, among the other active movements, left turns at Xena Road and Basin Road. So if you have someone sitting in the intersection waiting to make a left, going towards Kingston to turn onto Xena Road, somebody is behind him, wants to move to get around somebody who's waiting for the left turn, and now is that extra vehicle or vehicles in the right lane now trying to get past somebody who's waiting to make a left, and they're in that queue behind somebody slowing down to
Not necessarily visible to somebody coming out of Xena Road.
that too, yeah. If there's someo's going to make a right turn off the base, it's not a bad suggestion about the no turn on red situation. That's something that the town could make reference to in any correspondence to the state, which we are planning on doing. But it is up to the state whether or not the intersection gets a no right on red signage. And it's, again, not a bad idea, and I would recommend that. I also would point out that some municipalities, like the town of Montgomery, have added restrictions to their codes limiting the location of a driveway near an intersection. In Montgomery, you can't be any closer than 300 feet to an intersection. This is basically for corner properties, and especially ones that have alternative points of access, like this site and like the one that I was looking at in Montgomery. On the corner of 17K and Route 208, there was a quick check proposal. They wanted 3 accesses. They had a full access off of 208. They wanted one on 17K, another right turn in off of 208. State came along and said, you can't have a full movement access on 17K. You can only have a right turn only. 17K is somewhat similar to 208 here in Woodstock. That's what they basically went with, but because all two of their locations were closer than the 300-foot limit, ultimately the planning board denied the application. They needed they would have needed a variance in order to get their driveways where they wanted them located. The 300-foot is not a bad situation. I would recommend something like that to the town of Woodstock ultimately at some point if they want to consider that for properties like this or other properties that are close to busy intersections like this one, to consider limiting the distance or you know creating a minimum distance from the traffic signal to get that extra space from the signalized intersection to a driveway which has active movements in and out. That has a lot to do basically with stopping the sight distance issue. For 40 to 50 miles per hour, you need something like 400, 450 feet in order to stop. If you see an obstacle in the roadway at the speed you're going, you need that distance in order to react and step on the brake and stop and avoid crashing into whatever that obstacle is. Again, here we have 53-mile-an-hour cars coming down the hill going towards Kingston, and they barely have the 400 or so sight distance that they need in order to stop if somebody's there at that location. One of the other items also that I thought made sense to me, because if you look at the right turn in off of 28, maybe I'll just kind of point to it as you're coming down. If you're making the right and you're going to the gas station, you're not just turning right at a 90-degree angle to go into a site where you can continue at a fairly good speed. You're making a turn that's looping around, almost making it more than a U-turn in order to get back into the areas where the gas pumps are. That's going to require more than just a typical slowing down if you're going to make a 90-degree turn. So you're going even slower in order to make that turn to get to the gas pumps. The other thing too is coming out of these pump area and from any of the parking spaces, if you use the convenience store, you're heading across this aisle here to get to here. And if you're backed up because you can't get out onto 28, there's a few cars backed up that are queuing here. This makes this turn even tighter potentially, and creating a case for conflicts within the site and potential for accidents on the property itself. Again, dropping this right turn lane has an alternative, which is why I think it's something that can be accomplished. We all know coming off of 28, there's the off ramp, if you will, with a cutoff onto Basin Road that leads you right first to a stop sign. So you're going to have slowed down getting off of 28. You're going to stop here, so you're at 0 miles per hour, and then slowly you make your way to the other access to the back of the site where you have a full movement access, all lefts, all rights can out of the site, and that obviously makes an appropriate and I think acceptable alternative to this right turn off of 28, because you turned right off of 28 prior to the site, had plenty of room to slow down and to get into the back of the site from the Basin Road. In terms of
Could you just what you're saying as far as a suggestion on that?
sure.
Diagram.
I can put this map up, it'll help a little bit. I don't have their plan, but I've got.
This is where the right turn driveway. What I was thinking is that as you're coming down to your road heading towards Kingston, you need to make this. You need to slow down to make this turn. If this were just a normal 90-degree angle coming in, you can go a little bit quicker making the turn. If you're going to the gas pumps over here, the turn is actually a U-turn. There's also potential for cars that are leaving pump area and heading to this exit to back up. If the first car can't get out, then you've got a couple of cars behind it. And this is a potential for conflict in this area here, where a car waiting or a queue of cars waiting to get out, and a car making this loop to come in. Tighter area, potential for some accidents in the site itself. I think again, eliminating this turn here is workable because you have the off ramp on Mason Road, stop sign here, so you're going fairly slowly, stop here. and then you get to the site here.
So, excuse me, so you're suggesting that the cars would have to, in advance of the site, come off 28,
Yes.
go on to Basin, and then enter the station?
Correct.
If I owned that site, I wouldn't do that. That's insane.
Who would do that?
I mean, who would do that?
Well, what I'm saying is over time, if you're a regular on the roadway, even if you're not, you're gonna realize that, the gas station here, if you miss it.
Recording
you
in
miss it, you gotta
progress.
go somewhere else. If you know in advance that the gas station is here, you want to stop. What I'm also suggesting, along with no right turn here, is signage on 20, probably Zenith Road as you're approaching the intersection. That if you want to get to the gas station, there'll be a sign that indicates that you need to come off of 28 onto this sort of walkway. Down to the site to get to that. And signage, and I've seen county roads and we've also on state roads, I've seen that the blue and white,
Yes.
they'll say gas, you're getting off of ramp, for example. Right, for one of the highways, you'll see these wayfarers, and they'll say gas, the smaller ones on the ramp itself, and they'll tell you which direction to turn to get to a gas station or signs like that I would envision here before cutoffs, so that you know that if you go into the citadel, and what's better about that is that instead of getting here and then doing this mix and then having to turn around and come back, if you're one of those cars that we call pass-by cars, you're on the roadway, you just run into the site, get your gas and leave. If you do this here, it's a much easier movement to come in, get in the gas pumps, and just continue on. So you're not doing this internal.
The question is though, and I'm trying to remember, if you're coming down 28 though in that direction, right now, can you make a right turn on Basin Road? So you would have cars veering off onto Basin Road and then cars, if they realize that they missed that exit, again, going down into Basin Road, making a right turn onto Basin Road, again, backing up traffic on there. So you'd have them using that as an entrance. Would we make that then, or could it be possible if we're really dealing with the traffic situation to make that corner at Basin Road and 28 a no right turn? Yeah.
Probably could not make it a no right turn. It's a state jurisdiction and they'd have to get involved in deciding that. It's possible because, again, you do have this, and if all you're looking for is coming from this point to this point, you have that don't need that right turn. You don't need that right turn to access the site either. So it's possible. It's a very tight turn because the angle is small. That's one of the reasons why this doesn't work as well. Wide and more times than not, you end up in the right.
What's involved in getting permission to have a sign at the intersection, at that entrance to Basin Road?
As part of the highway work permit that the applicant's going to have to go through that process with the state, that could be part of the.
So it doesn't matter who owns that because it's within the right of way?
It would be in the right of way, and it would be the state's jurisdiction to decide.
Mr. Chairman, we have several responses and comments. When would you like us to speak?
Just let him finish up and I'll say one thing and then you guys can comment. You okay, Stephen?
I think that was it, actually. Yeah, that's it.
All right, well, we can get back to if we need to. I just want to point out one other thing that the planning board has to consider. That whole intersection. And one of the things is that the property where now they sell Christmas trees is for sale and is going to be developed. And it's in Woodstock, and we're going to have to review it. The other thing I want to point out is that when we reviewed Stewart, we said that you could not turn off of 28 into Stewart, and that it was a right turn out only. And I can quote from the state, when we did the review, this is the minutes from that time. It said, reference to the traffic circulation page, Peter Ford wanted to know why Route 28 was chosen as the primary egress and egress point. Brandon Myers replied that Route 28 was not chosen as the primary egress and egress. It was Xena Road. Route 28 is right turn only. Lewis added the state DOT wouldn't let stewards have their usual curb cut, which allowed left in and right out and left in and right out. The state restricted that. Mr. Ford asked if not, the cars on Route 28 would then have to turn into Xena Road to access the stewards. Mr. Lewis replied he believed that the state was trying to promote that by the restriction of access on Route 28. I just want you to know that that entrance off of 28 Stewart is not what we wanted, and we're going to have them review that. We're going to have the town review that and ask to put a sign there that says no entrance. The entrance that we permitted was for fuel trucks and fuel trucks only, so they could come in off of 28 and then exit off of Xena Road and go out by the light, so they're entering 28 with a traffic flow. And that's why we had that. It's the same similar situation. To enter off of 28 so close to a light is extremely dangerous. It's the side of a hill. And let me tell you, I travel that at least 4 or 5 times a day and have come down 28, down that hill, past the light, and somebody decided they were going to turn into Stewart's without a blinker. It almost caused an accident many times. And as far as what Stephen pointed out about having to make that turn, the right turn into the proposed station and having to make it so sharp. Last night, coming up 28, in the rain, in the dark, in front of, just not too far from there, in front of the food takeout place, there was a car stopped in the middle of 28, in the dark, in the rain, because they couldn't pull in to the food takeout place because the parking lot was full. Because the cars in there were trying to back out and the car trying to get in, couldn't get in, and he was stopped in the middle of 28. Luckily, I got around him. There was nobody in the other lane. But that's the kind of issue we have to avoid. So, gentlemen, if you want to address some of Steve's comments, you may do so.
Thank you. Maximilian Mahal, the law firm Cuddy and Fair, on behalf of the applicant, joined here this evening, Solomon Latham, project engineer. Thank you for your comments. I understand during the site visit, my boss, Taylor Palmer, was there with several of the board members. And when you guys were on the site, based on what I was told, it was witnessed that there were several cars traveling south on 28, making what I would call an illegal left into the exit only lane of the Stewarts, all to the north of that light. That causes a risk. Folks who are using, particularly folks who are visiting the community on a temporary basis as tourists, transient users, they're looking for the easiest way to get into a gas station. And so when they're traveling southbound on 28 and they see the Stewart's curb cut, they've made that left. What we're trying to do is to minimize that. What I'm going to use the word chaos. We're trying to make it safer. We're not trying to qualify something that is unsafe as safe. We are looking at this at an expert level with an expert traffic consultant, expert engineer, and we are going to all the agencies involved, both at the local and state level, to find out a design that meets all the pertinent criteria and enhances that safety. And how are we enhancing that safety? That is through that right-in option past the light. That's another option for folks traveling south. They might not know where they are. They know they're trying to get to the thruway. They know they're low on gas. Having this option to pull in off of 28, making that right after a light, that increases the safety at this site versus what we've seen time and time again with folks making what I'm going to again call an illegal left turn into the Stewarts. Now, my last appearance before.
Where did this illegal left turn you're talking about? to the stewards.
Yes,
We all travel that every day. Once in a blue moon, I see somebody define the sign that says no legal, no left turn, and turn into that. Well, I don't see that on a regular basis at all.
if I may, sir, if I may just quickly.
yeah, go ahead.
I haven't been to a lot of these meetings. My boss is, Taylor. First time I came in August, I almost got killed by someone making that left in the stores. I almost called Taylor to joke about it because it was so shocking and so out. If I
So
may
they're heading
finish,
south.
they were heading south and making that left turn. And Taylor said also at the site visit, it was witnessed happening again. So it is occurring at a frequency.
I was at the site visit, and it wasn't just cars. We actually saw a fire truck do it.
And there were like two other cars in the half hour we were there. to do it too.
So it wasn't just tourists.
That's one of the reasons that we want to review the entire intersection. Because there's so many unsafe actions going on there.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, just a couple other comments, thank you. We had a very similar conversation when I was here at that August. So we went back to our team and we said, what can we do to address the board's concern? So our team did shift the driveway in and driveway out to the south. We moved it as far south as we could while having to comply with certain requirements, including where the septic system was to be, where the fuel storage tanks could be, where the building and the canopy could be based on the zoning requirements and building code requirements, and installing a drainage system that was up to snuff for both county requirements and also New York City's Department of Environmental Protection, which has an interest based on the reservoir to the west there. When you look at all those different elements, all those different agencies, and all those different rules, this is the design paradigm that complies with all that criteria and make sure that we have a site that works and at the same time was responsive to the board's request at my last appearance to move the driveways to the south. In addition, I understand that our engineering team was at a meeting with the New York City Department of Environmental Protection, correct me if I'm wrong on this, and the New York State Department of Transportation. And the DOT, as we've all discussed already this evening, has the authority here in terms of final approvals on the design. And what the DOT did is they looked at this and they said that this is an acceptable design schematic to them. There was discussions about possible other alternatives that were proposed over time. For example, is there a right turn lane only that could be implemented? And the DOT said they didn't want that because that causes issues for continuity of lanes and also, interestingly, issues for snow plowers going up and down 28. But they were in favor of this design. And as a part of that highway work permit mentioned, we are going to need their approval because this is their right of way. Another concern I have is there was a mention of signage to the north, potentially directing motorists to Basin Road. But again, this is the DOT right of way. We can only control our site. And so when we control our site, I went back to the team and I said, guys, we have to move this driveway south. How can we do this while making sure this site works and we comply with all the other requirements? And then when we got it farther south, we increased that site distance to the north. So I just wanted to highlight all the steps we have been taking, but this is the design that meets all those requirements, all those criteria, and from our, not just my opinion, but the opinion of the experts retained, is a safe and functioning design for users, both residents and visitors.
Okay, let me make something clear. We really don't care what the DOT said, because the DOT, as far as I'm concerned, is criminally negligent on 28. That road is dangerous, badly designed, badly maintained, and badly controlled. Whatever DOT says to you guys is one thing, but you need town approval, Woodstock Town Planning Board approval, not DOT. You need our approval. And we feel that's unsafe entrance. So we have to do more investigation, and Stephen is working on some ways to look at this. But that's an unsafe entrance, our opinion. And we're the ones that get to vote on.
I would respectfully note that at the end of the day, the final permit does have to go from the DOT on this design.
Yeah, but the final
And-
permit is gonna come from us.
And if I may, courts have litigated this issue in the past, and DOT does have authority in terms of ingress and egress off of state routes such as this. I don't want
Do
to,
you wanna take it to the court? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying what New York case law and statutory law have been interpreted to uphold.
Well, if you
Just
wanna
wanna
take it
note
to the
that.
court, we can, but as far as we know, we have the final say.
So that is the board's opinion. I've noted that. Thank you.
So we are discussing this and we're looking at alternatives to find a site plan that we can agree with. So it's up to you guys to work on that. Stephen, I believe, has given you some options. He is our consultant. And,
I would just add something in response to what Max just said. It's not, I don't think it's the intention of the applicant and engineers to indicate that this right turn is going to alleviate left turns or change the left turn situation, whatever it is, at the Stewart's. It's known that this left turn is illegal, potentially dangerous. I don't think it is an argument that transferring the danger of this left turn from here to here is in any way making it safer. Because this turn itself has its own issues and potential danger and risk as far as accidents are concerned. So to say that this right turn is going to help a situation where an illegal turn creates risk for accidents, I don't think applies as far as I'm concerned. I think that with signage and with DOT involvement, and I don't think they're going to be unreasonable about a design here that makes it safer. Would be something that they'd say, well, no, we can't do that. We want the right turn in because, well, we don't know. It could be more dangerous. We don't want that. We're trying to make this safer by taking out the situation where risk is it's increased. All this activity in the intersection that I went through that I talked about as far as turns, maneuvering around left turns, the closeness that this driveway is to the intersection, and this is the distance that you're measuring from the curb to the curb here. The Xena Road on the other side, because of this angle, has the appearance of being even closer to the intersection than the distance from Mason Road down on that side of the intersection down to where the driveway is. So again, yes, DOT has the final approval as far as the highway work permit is concerned. But I think I've said this before, and I came across it in that project that I talked about in Montgomery with the quick check. Their engineers kept coming back and saying, well, DOT said the driveways are okay. Our response to them was, we don't care, because the town has the final say on whether or not you get, in the case of Montgomery, whether they get their variances for their driveways and other variances they need to do in the site, and they didn't get it. They were denied. So again, I would suggest that, yes, the DOT is involved. Yes, they have to say on the highway work permit. But what's presented to the DOT can change. Doesn't have to be what they said they'd allow at this point.
Board members have questions for Stephen or?
Mr. Chairman, if I just made note for the record, we did also have the Ulster County Gateway meeting. Subsequent to that, we had the Ulster County Planning Board review this application. Their comments were submitted in a very short letter, and they did note that the proposed access alternative provided by the applicant will require the review and input of the planning board. Ultimately, the final design will require the review and approval of NYS DOT for a highway access permit. There is also just a reference to obtaining health department approval. I just wanted to note that was in. I know this project has been.
Date of that letter, please.
Sorry?
Date that letter.
November 6th, 2024.
That was our referral to-
I do know this matter has been before the board for a very long time. And when we had the comments at the last meeting about shifting the driveway, our team moved it as far as they could. As I've said, because I want to make sure we're completely transparent and I'm up to date with my team at all times. Understand, we sat down with the DEP, New York State Department of Environmental Protection, and the DOT, and they were okay with this. At this point, the applicant is not prepared to make any more changes to the site plan and believes this is a full site plan application. Now, as indicated tonight, the board and its consultants will have its own opinions as it is right on this project. But we have designed a plan that is safe, maneuverable, functional, and aesthetically pleasing, including, for example, the signage details added and the extensive landscaping plan provided. As such, we are eager to hear the public's input on this because we will not be making any more changes.
Well, as I said, we won't have a public hearing until we have a complete application. We won't have a complete application until this board has agreed to the site. And we don't agree to the site plan right now.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, respectfully, in my many years of doing this, my understanding of the purpose of the public hearing, as you know, is to get the public's input to help make the board, help to have the board make an informed decision
We have to have
on,
a complete application first.
and this is our complete
It's not
application.
for us.
So what, Mr. Chairman, what is missing what would make this
Safety.
complete?
Health, safety, and welfare is our concern, and that turn off of 28 is dangerous.
We are
I don't
completely,
care what the state said, we say it's dangerous.
and Mr. Chairman, we are completely 100% confident this is a complete application that
Well, you need
addresses
to
all
look at
those
some other
topics.
alternatives. Our consultant has given you some other alternatives. You need to look at them.
Mr. Chairman, that would create a situation where an application would never be deemed complete. And a part of the benefit of that public hearing is if there is a room of 100 people with 100 comments, and those comments are eye-opening for us or for the board on something that might be feasible, we want to hear those comments because that might really, might translate into adjustments to the site plan for the board that the board might like. But I can't hear those comments unless we have a public hearing. Now, I'm not asking for a public hearing to be open and closed in one night and decided on. I just want to get the process going in terms of getting those public comments.
Okay, this is, anytime we have a complicated and difficult application before us, we need to take our time to make sure it's right. We have in the past, we have gone years and years on applications to get them correct. We're not going to rush through something and okay something or get push through something that we feel is not correct. So don't push. We're going to take our time and we're going to get it right. So we are reviewing this site plan.
So,
That's what we're in the process of reviewing, and that's why we have a consultant to advise us, and we're going to continue to review until we can find an acceptable site plan.
so Mr. Chairman, with that saying, then, is the board going to propose an alternative? Because we're not providing any more updated site plans.
That's your choice. We didn't pick the site, you did.
Yeah. But there is a principle under New York law that a planning board review is not discretionary. And once an application is full, once the plans are submitted, forms are submitted, EAF, when all the requirements of the zoning code are met for what is a submission, the next step required by law is a public hearing. And I'm at a loss to understand what would make this complete if an applicant is not making any more changes. And I'm not trying to be difficult, Mr. Chairman, and I understand every municipality does things a little bit differently. I know this has been out there.
If you don't like the way the town of Woodstock conducts its public hearings or its applications, to take it to another town. We are going to make sure that our people are safe, and that way you're projecting is not safe.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I was to come back to the next meeting and to present something you would consider complete, what is that to you? Because I'm at a loss for understanding what
We
is
have an
that.
entire board here, there's 7 people. Each one has a vote, and we have to find something that we can all agree on.
So
And right now, you don't have something we agree on.
So just to be clear, I am to present a site plan that the board would approve.
You've been given options.
May I finish, Mr. Chairman? I am to present a site plan that the board's considered approvable to be considered complete to have a public hearing to gain comments that might change the site plan before the board votes on the site plan.
If you want to get into legal things, we can bring in our lawyers. We are not lawyers here, okay? We're just saying what we feel is not safe, and we're asking you to make it safe. And if you're saying you don't want to make it safe, then that's your choice.
And I know there was the references to being rushed. This is, I don't want things to get actually, and I apologize if it seems like that. But just to understand, this applicant has been before this board for a number of years now.
It's a very difficult site. It's a
If-
very difficult application, and we're going to take our time to get it right. We're not in a rush.
If
Now, let me
you're
tell you
sold
something.
on what you're saying, write something to the planning board attorney, like, then we move forward that way. If you're steadfast and you're not changing the plan, then it goes to John Lyons, Matt and Steven to review for the planning board. Like you said, that's why the consultants are here and they're involved. The planning board told you where they're at, like,
If you want to go ahead and threaten us with law, go right ahead, because we can just table this until the judge makes a decision.
Mr. Chairman, there was no intention of a threat. Part of my job is just to articulate here and there what New York law holds in terms of land use. So for example, that authority, the DOT versus the
Okay,
board
we're
or
not DOT.
process.
We're the Woodstock Planning Board, and you need our permission to get that done, okay? We're not DOT. We don't care what DOT said.
That is noted. Thank you.
So this is under review, and we're gonna stay under review until we can come up with an acceptable plan. So we will soon arrange for another meeting. Hopefully, there will be some changes and something to make it safe. Board members, go ahead. This is our vice chair, Good. Go ahead.
I would like to understand why the access from Basin Road is not a solution from your point of view. Because it seems to me what it creates is almost the equivalent of a traffic circle, which DOT tends to like. Because you've got people getting out of each other's way and going in relatively straight lines. To me, what Stephen has suggested makes a lot of sense. It means if somebody is headed south and they know they need gas, they already know that there's a gas station on the right. They don't have to make the Stewart's turn. So it's a good solution. It seems to me it's a good solution. And everything is at a straight line, in one side, out the other side. So I would like you guys to address that in a very serious way. I think it really is a practical alternative.
If I may add something, what you brought up about the congestion in this area, because of that, I didn't even think about it when we were there. It makes the whole facility more user-friendly. Who wants to get caught up coming out of this and getting caught up in that traffic over there? So the circle of in and out.
And I would also just add to that, that I think we all know of a lot of businesses where it seems like a little bit of a headache that you have to enter in the back of a business that is visible on a road. I mean, most places like the Midwest, I think we invented service roads. We are all about them. And 28 would be so great with service roads, you know, like get everybody off 28.
Judge Handle intersection.
It'd be wonderful, but you know, obviously that's something that's pie in the sky. I don't know if it'll be alive for it when the ground.
Much,
But
it's much safer.
it's much safer. But without that, we all know of businesses where you have to mentally make a note that like, oh, right, I need to like exit a half a block before I'm getting to that business to go back behind it to get into it. And obviously those entrances are there for that reason, that there's something with traffic that is worrisome.
Yeah, I would add to that also that was mentioned that if you're not familiar with the fact that there's a gas station there, and you think as you see it, you say, well, I'll turn in here because I need gas, and then there's no right turn in. About what, 2 or 3 miles down the road, there's a Sunoco station on the right side of 28. And if you're a tourist and you're going back to the thruway, you have that other opportunity, and probably other gas stations that you can't stop if you're running out of gas. This isn't the last gas station before.
No, and I think the signage thing that we're talking about, I mean, I know myself, whenever I'm traveling outside of my own comfort zone areas, and I see that I'm low on gas that I didn't notice, that blue sign is like barreling in my head. It's like, oh my God, there's blue gas sign there.
Right.
And that's even before you sort of almost see Stewart's when you're coming at it going north. And so I think you would take that right and go, oh, great, there's gas right there. I'm almost out, or I'm gonna be out. I don't know. I mean, to me, that's, as a tourist myself, when I'm in unfamiliar areas,
And if the sign is placed properly,
that sign means the world
distance-wise,
to me, yeah.
and ahead of that turn off. See that there's an issue, and again, if you do miss the sign, you miss that gas station because there's no right turn, just a couple of miles more and you're at another gas station. I think as you said, I think that's a workable solution.
Okay, well, as I said, the board is looking at that whole intersection with this other activity going to go on the other side of the street. So we have more reviewing to do. I hope the applicant finds a way to come up with a suggestion that works. While the planning board will work on finding solutions to the intersection. We will arrange to meet again as soon as we have some further information.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a good night. Thank you. I can leave this here. Needed it too.
Can you leave it for me? Wow, Christmas presents. Thank you.
Architecturals as well. I'm like, I have architecturals for you too.
Okay,
Happy holidays, guys.
You too, thank you.
unfinished business. Oh, I'm sorry, Stephen.
I think no, really.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We're so. Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
We'll be in
Take
touch.
care. Thank
See
you.
you next year.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming.
And we'll be in touch, Stephen. I'm
You
sure.
bet. Thank you.
Take care. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
2025 workshop ideas. Did you guys
Yes.
put any thought into this?
I do.
You did.
I
Thank
do.
you.
One of the things I think we might want to consider is to sort of take a course within ourselves here to read and understand site maps and site plans. This is an example with the one we just talked about with Stewart's. That on that site plan, it does not say do not enter. And that we agreed to, it didn't get to the site and it got by us all. And so we have to really learn.
There is a no left turn sign.
Yeah, but there's not a no entrance sign, which it should have been. We allowed entrance for fuel trucks, but
And now it's a quandary because we found something in the minutes, but there's nothing in the resolutions. There's nothing on the final site plan.
and as you're all learning, what's on a filed plan that goes to the county, that counts. Even if it says a lot can't be divided or anything else that beats it, what's on that plan counts. And there's a lot of information on a plan that we have to look at and be aware of. There's a lot of data that does setbacks and stuff like that. So I think that if we took a little course within ourselves to study a site plan and know what you're looking at, because once that gets approved, as I say, and sent to the county, that's it. And what's on that plan, you gotta live with. So we before we sign off, we really need to learn how to know what's actually on that plan.
Yeah, I try to so hard to listen to everything. Sometimes you hear me like come back at you with things that you said, like the resolution. For me, I feel like, that resolution matches the site plan when Peter signs it. Like I try to lay out in there like everything you guys, because that's it. That when they sign that compliance statement and we attach it to it, that's them honoring what we requested.
Give you another example, which is the the Dunkin' Donuts on 70, on 275.
Supposed
The
to-
lights,
it's supposed
the
to open
lights
Wednesday.
on those boards are blinding when you
Yeah,
come down.
they're
It's
terrible.
just, it's annoying beyond annoying. And again, when those planning board members looked at that site plan, they could have said that lighting has to be dark sky compliant.
They denied that. They went to court to get their
They did.
application.
They were
They
sued
They didn't have
over
a
that.
traffic
The
engineer.
planning board, who knows what Hurley did? But
Yeah, but yes, you're
and
right.
everybody blames that one on us, and it's not us.
No.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
But
were
they
not-
did, they went to court to get it, you're
I would
right.
like to make a motion or suggest a motion that this planning board sends a letter to the Hurley Planning Board saying we object to that lighting
Yes.
on that
I
station.
could do that.
On that,
Let's do that.
we object. I
I'll
don't-
compose something and have it at the next meeting for you guys to approve.
Yeah.
But that's an example where if that had been in front of us, we could have said we want dark sky compliant on our boards. We could have said that and put it on the plan. So,
Done.
Does every member of the board read this from Mount Sedona?
yeah,
Not all the way through, but it's on my email.
I was gonna bring it up, but,
The third.
Everyone needs to.
Yeah, I read like,
That's-
I think I read most. of it.
It looked like it was.
Stephen addressed it in a letter to us. That's the right of access. And what that is talking about is that this entrance into this proposed station violates the right of access. What Stephen's saying is that that 28 is already traffic. And therefore,
I think his thing about the hairpin turn was the most.
yeah,
That was
Because
the-
Yeah.
I didn't see that at all.
I have a question related. to
That was like, cars aren't going to be dead stopped.
I have a question related to that. It's I remember that we said something about the number of parking spaces relative to the size of the building.
Yep.
And that it's smaller than Stewart's, and Stewart's is already over.
yeah, they have 22 approved parking spaces, and I've been there when they're all full, the pumps are full, and there's parking in front of the pumps, making it hard to get in and out, and
They would
These
argue, they
people
would argue
have
that
10.
the gas station. would
they only
actually
have
be-
10 parking spaces.
So if it adds to the point about not having people coming off of 28 and then having to deal with congestion.
Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, if everything worked out wonderfully, the presence of that gas station would take some of the pressure off of Stewart's. So it would actually add safety, but only if they do it right.
I think
It seems
Stephen's
to me the
point that
Basin Road
enter
entrance is
Basin
the
Road
only
is the
alternative.
logical solution.
I believe that, and use that. as
This is
a
Mel
section.
Sedanic, I mean, it's up to your discretion, but if the chairman will let you speak, you can speak.
Go ahead, sir.
I will just speak to this issue about, people make illegal left turn from 28 to Stewart's. I've lived there over 20 years, use that intersection 3 or 4 times a day. It happens extremely rarely. That's not a common thing that happens.
I agree.
That does happen very rarely. It's not a major concern.
But my point about the bistro to go, that happened to me last night when I was coming down in the dark, in the rain, and there was a car parked there because you couldn't get turned into the bistro to go. 2 weeks ago, there was or 3 weeks ago, there was a very serious accident right there at the same time. Very serious. That car was all mashed, turned over. I don't know, hope nobody got hurt, but that's trying to get off of 28 when there's somebody already in the way.
Good job,
Okay.
planning board.
Should
Okay,
we do a workshop on?
our next workshop is January 30th. Do you and I want to put this together? I think you and I together, put together this like
January 30th,
January 30th.
next workshop.
Yes, next workshop. Next meeting is January 2nd.
Second.
Workshops are the third meeting of the month,
Yes.
when there is one.
Yeah, so it's the 30th, but I think you and I can pull this off. I'll do some
That,
research and put
and
stuff
board
together.
members, anybody has a suggestion for workshops in the coming year, please,
Yeah.
please
Well, why not?
write them in.
Should we review intersection
Anything.
design and law?
I think we're.
It was like,
My
a-
suspicion is-
Judy and I went to a great.
Although,
When was that? It was like way back, but I was on the planning board. We went to that presentation down in, and it was all about intersections and traffic.
Oh, yeah,
Remember that?
yeah, I do.
That was really good. I learned a lot.
And they were kind of arguing for traffic circles.
Oh, yeah, they were big on traffic,
Everywhere.
circle, but they were showing just a lot of different things that, like, were things that as a driver, you never really think about, and then they were showing like how they solve like accident stuff and, you know, what doesn't work and. It was fascinating.
Well, you know, I mean,
I just can't
that's
remember, I
sort
wish I
of
can't
thing is something
remember it.
Stephen could present for us. He's got the skills.
We
for that.
could,
Yeah.
I could try to figure that out.
It was long ago.
I mean, of course, I'd have to get money approved.
Forget that.
My job.
It was down 209, we drove down 209 and it was like in what's that town down there?
I don't remember.
Um,
I remember that we did something.
But think about some other ideas, because you know me, that I'm always working and cooking stuff up for you guys to continue to credit.
Would we ever be able to have a meeting with DOT to discuss our concerns about that corridor where it's within our?
We're working on that.
There's one in the works.
We're cooking.
Steve is actually,
We're cooking with oil.
we're working on that.
Oil and maybe some good food.
What's John gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say that in roughly 5 decades of serving on various town boards in this town, I've seen a couple lawsuits come up, and this is one. This is going to be one. We haven't had a good sized one in a good number of years.
Right.
You say we're overdue?
Thank you.
Don't be afraid of it, what I'm saying.
I don't know why they think a public forum would help.
Yes.
Oh, it's
I
gonna
mean,
kill 'em.
Because
It's going to kill.
They'll
once
bring-
we open a public hearing, they have 60 days.
62
Yeah,
days.
they want to start a clock,
Oh, I get it.
is what
Oh,
I mean,
they-
if we
see,
leave
I
it
see, I see, I
open,
see, I see.
But, I mean, but we run things, I run things
well,
very concise. This is the process. This
yeah,
is,
yeah, I mean, he was showing off, his boss is sitting there, and right behind him.
Yeah.
It was, just, I'm earning my pay today, boss, is what he was doing. But, well, that's what he was doing. But we've seen this game before. We've lived through it. We generally win, generally,
and
not
you
every
are
time.
volunteers, like this is
Not every
something
time.
that
No,
just,
no, it's just, don't be afraid of it.
So do we
Yes.
get the
Because
papers
this,
again?
this project
maybe,
is probably one of the worst I've ever seen
Hmm.
come up. And it just,
which is why.
killing
we've
it
been here
is
since
our
2018.
responsibility at this point. And, I'm sorry, they bought the site, they spent a lot of money on development, it's their money at this point. So,
Okay, think of workshop ideas and 2 other little things. So January 2nd, we have the public hearing for the Elander subdivision. I did email you guys the critical environmental area of the roads that were put in resolution. I think they're pretty solid. I got Peter and Judy's okay, so I think we're good. I think that looks great. Melissa Gibson came in to see me today. She's the Hemp and Humanity owner that had spoke to you guys, so I just wanted to give you a little update. It looks like she is going to be opening the dispensary within that location.
She's taking over
Sure
Doritos.
it is.
thinking of what?
Yeah.
Doritos.
So I just wanted you guys to know that's what's happening.
Flowers.
She thanks you all for your support
Flowers
during
is
all of this, and she just wanted to give you guys a heads up.
So we're gonna hear from the people who think that she's setting up a competition with them. or
Who
something.
knows? I think that's all in
Setting
her.
up dispensary,
Yes,
So
excuse me, within how many feet of a church?
it's,
Check the law.
Oh, they've been doing all this. Yeah, it's.
they're not.
The church said they weren't.
They want to be
going.
neutral.
they don't wanna
The
have.
church doesn't want anything to do with it. Or they don't want to be, drug enforcement.
Morality, please.
A
No,
school.
it's not drug
a school we
enforcement,
can
it's just the
enforce.
law.
The school can be, yeah.
The school
It's
can be
okay.
enforced, the
That's
church
why
can't
it
be
was
enforced.
here and we talked and everything. So this is just a quick little update, just so you know.
Yeah, I don't give a hoot about the dispensary, it's just that
I
the
know.
laws. are
Well, they have to
enforced.
follow the state law anyway, so I think it's within,
All right,
yeah.
fun time.
No, that somebody was trying to add the church, somebody
There-
local was trying to add the church.
That was the
Town board
town
was.
board.
The town board and Bill.
Because the church is
But the
not.
church
And we
don't wanna
advised
be-
X that.
They
That's
don't
not on
wanna
state
be.
laws.
in-
That's where we advised with
Town
our,
board.
yes, with our investigative work.
Now, I have a question, and it has to do with senior development.
I was just gonna ask that question. Are they coming to our board next?
Of course they are.
Okay,
But I thought, I mean, if the zoning board was deadlocked, why does it come to us?
Because if the zoning board is deadlocked, ZEO determination is upheld.
Well, excuse me. Oops, I lost. this. Where were they deadlocked over?
The road.
They voted
The
top.
access road to the,
Woodstock Land Conservancy. Xena Development was coming to us for, we'll start from the beginning, for subdivision, wetlands and watercourse, and a site plan review. All for the road, for the proposal of a development in the town of Ulster. The only thing happening in the town of Woodstock is the road, but it requires these three things.
And the roads,
Site plan review, this is my blurb, site plan review, wetlands and watercourse subdivision.
and the road is on two specific little strips
Yes.
that are separate subdivisions from everything else. The
And-
road actually is on its own little subdivision.
That's what they're proposing, right?
No, it's already there.
Oh, well, they're proposing.
They own the
restrictions.
road.
They
but
own the
here's
road
thing.
and that land that it is on is a little narrow strip subdivision.
Yeah.
So fast forward, it was gonna come to you months ago, probably
Parcel, I
close
should
to a
say.
year ago. Woodstock Land Conservancy filed a determination for the ZBA and challenged Butch's determination of what they had to do. So they've been stuck with the ZBA because it's got to go to the ZBA before it comes to us, legal, not legal, and they deadlocked. So legally, and they,
ZBA deadlock.
yeah,
They don't have an odd number?
Somebody was
someone
out on
couldn't
this.
vote, they were online.
somebody was out of town.
And
Wi-Fi.
here's what the planning board has to consider.
Mhm.
The people that own the 100 acres in the town of Ulster that want to use the road Eastwood Lane to access it, also own the 500 acres known as the Walrus on that side. So if they're gonna, what they're trying to do is one of these divide. They're trying to get us to approve this development in Ulster, which we have no control over.
Right.
But by giving them the right to the road, they're now gonna come back and wanna put a 500 acre subdivision on that same road and enter it on.
Well,
that road.
maybe they will and maybe they won't. But the fact is, it's in the CEA. And so we have our first case of trying to figure out what the CEA would permit or prohibit.
Yep.
I mean,
And
that's,
again,
that's
so
one of the
in the
reasons the
near
land
future,
conservancy is concerned.
there, I was trying to figure out this in between. So yes, they're coming back. I have the original applications that came before they even went to ZBA. We're bringing them back. Alec had requested their lawyer to be at this meeting. I said, absolutely not. I need a little bit more information from ZBA to figure out, get a grip on what happened, what's going on. So yes, they are coming back. We will have our first meeting. They will present the plan. We will talk about escrow and what consultants we are bringing on.
But John Lyons, our attorney, agrees that what they're doing is segmentation. What they're trying to do is get approval for one thing so they can come in with the other. And what we have to do, and it's in our code, if you read our code, to look at the whole picture. They own all of that property and they own that access and they want to use that access to enter Woodstock Highway.
So I've
And
only
they're
read,
not
we have to
making-
look at
and
the
they're not
whole
making
picture.
any statements about what they might use the rest of their.
Well, they
Woodstock
say
land
no
for.
further. They say no further. They have said no further development would stop.
Yeah, but that's classic segmentation.
so classic.
It really is, it's classic.
so I've only seen news articles about, it. Can we get the actual documentation of what zoning board members said?
I asked
pro
for the
and-
minutes.
Pro and negative.
Well,
so
I
that we
asked for the
can-
minutes and I believe
yeah,
that there's two
Is it all on
determinants.
one?
Yeah, so I asked for the minutes. I figured that would be helpful. So when they're ready, Michelle will get me those. I was trying to give you guys as much as I could.
But let me ask, there was an issue that had to do with whether the zoning for that little strip, which is those two little parcels that make up the roadbed, is subject to our zoning law or Ulster zoning. So which one is it? They didn't decide that, did they?
Well, it gets hairy, yeah, no, and it gets hairy.
Well, then how can we use
And Town of Ulster apparently is
They
not
haven't
doing
reviewed
anything
it.
because they're saying, get through Woodstock first because there's your road.
Yeah, you can't have anything there unless you've got access.
And my understanding from when we were going through this forever ago is there were two court cases, one sided with and one sided
That's
not.
what I understood too.
So this is all, I'm on they're here for the road, but then I'm also, oh, wait, you have to look at the whole picture. So I honestly don't know.
So let me ask the question about the segmentation. would
This might be a John question.
well, yeah, so the question then is, if we say that what you want to do with those two little parcels that constitute the road is opening up the possibility of other development. And we will only approve it if you commit in writing in some binding way to not doing anything with the other 500 acres. They won't do that.
No.
I mean, they have already said that road will have an HOA, like they,
Right, but what it's at issue is besides the wetland part of the Eastwood Lane is the traffic.
Yeah.
And the traffic going on to the Xena Highwoods Road.
Soft.
And
Oh,
so
there's
if
more
they
than
want
that.
us,
There's
they want us to
traffic.
review the traffic for the proposed 40 units in Ulster, but they can have 50, 60 units in the town of Woodstock, which is the ballroom. So now we'd have to look at if all of that traffic were to go out there.
Well, you know,
so we have discussed John Lyons, Stephen Mafia, Nan, because Nan and John work well together and we think should be a good fit. And there's a Hudsonian specialist that John's supposed to put us in with, which I think would be a good idea for our environmental concern. So they're the consultants that our wheels are turning and that we will present when they come, but they're coming soon.
but looking at the legal side of that is not a good subject for a workshop, or it is.
Not right.
We really just need to deal with the case when the case comes.
I think we'll like Peter said, we'll do the site plan.
The thing,
But we could.
the thing that is
Yeah.
new here
Yeah.
is the CEA.
Yes.
So on top of
absolutely.
everything else, you're talking about traffic going through
Which I
a
think
contiguous wet, a contiguous
A
forest area.
Hudsonian expert is an amazing consultant for us to have for that.
So the question of what you can reasonably, in the law, do to protect that CEA.
Right. What are you doing to acknowledge and protect? Show us, yes.
I mean, I was having, like imagining requiring them to put pass-throughs under the road or something. They're talking about just a dirt road. But they're talking about a lot of traffic on that dirt road.
I know.
Not just in the construction, which, I mean, I can just imagine what the neighbors are thinking about the noise from the construction buildings. But then you have 60 or 120 cars.
Well, my suggestion is they put a bridge across the Sawkill and go on to the main road with all of their traffic.
Yeah.
All right,
Are there any laws regarding how much traffic you're going to get through?
Make a motion to adjourn.
That's a question for Steve.
well, make a motion to adjourn and happy holidays. to you all.
Happy
Thank
holidays,
you all.
everyone. See you January 2nd.